The Shepnaz podcast begins now.
You're listening to the Shepnaz podcast here at Shepherd Church. Everything we do is to connect our community in a meaningful relationship with Christ. I'm Pastor Zack, and I'm your guest host today, sitting in for Pastor Joey while he's on baby duty.
Yes.
And today we got Principal Mike Fluhart in the studio with us. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. You having a good day so far?
Every day is an opportunity to excel. You have no problems, just opportunities to excel.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. I'm going to have to steal that from you at some point here. Well, hey, during the 21 days of prayer and fasting, we got to know you a little bit better on your episode where you talked about prophetic words from Rob McCorkle's book. And if you haven't heard that episode yet, be sure to go back and catch it. Mike had some really good insights, and he shared a little bit about his family and the ministry he does here at Shepherd, so you're going to want to go back and check that out. But here in a little bit, we're going to be talking to Mike here about some exciting things that are happening at Shepherd Christian School. We got a lot of really cool stuff coming up, and we're really excited to hear about all of that. But before we get there,
Awesome.
I want to go way back. I want to get to know Mike a little bit better, and I just want to get to know you and what it looked like when you first got to know Jesus. What was your story of how you came to faith?
I'm not necessarily one of those that can say on this date, I was blessed to be raised in a Christian household. We attended Grove City Methodist Church. I was raised initially Methodist.
Okay.
I've always been the guy that would volunteer and help out within the church or community groups, etc. And part of the men's group I was in, I just recently had transferred to Grove City Naz. And we actually, at that time, were attending both Grove City Methodist Church and Grove City Naz for a window, and that's a story within itself. But the Billy Graham Crusade came to Columbus. So I said, that part of the men's group said, let's see if we can help out. I signed up and to help out on the Billy Graham Crusade. And I'll never forget, how some people say, okay, I can pick this date. Yeah, this is kind of a date. Because I knew the Lord, but I didn't have a relationship. And I remember going to the information meeting for volunteers. And I'm sitting in the back of the, like you always sit in the back of church. Well, I was sitting in the very back row of this volunteer group. And it's one of the first times I can say the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, Mike, quit playing with me.
Wow.
Go to the front row and commit yourself to this.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh.
It's a gut check.
It was. It was. It was quit playing Christian. And from that moment, I obviously moved forward. Yeah. And that has taken me on a journey and a relationship that I can't. It's a blessing, or it's been a blessing, and that I can say I quit playing with God, and I invested myself and gave myself to Him.
Wow, that's awesome. Something you said in there that really caught my eye, and I think this is true for a lot of Christians out there, is that they know Jesus, they know of Him, but they don't have that relationship with Him yet. So it's really cool to hear you say that, because I know there's a lot of people that share that story. They share that story with you. So thank you so much for being open and willing to share that with us. So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks so much for your honesty and openness. And when we come back, we're going to talk to you about all the awesome things that are happening at the school.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome. Let's take a quick break.
Thank you.
Each month, our church gathers for an intentional time of prayer. Ignite happens on the first Tuesday of every month. We begin with expectant worship and then move into a time of prayer led by Pastor Rob. March 7th is the next Ignite from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Plus, we've even got programming for your kids. We'll see you here at Shepherd on March 7th for Ignite.
Maybe you've been hanging around Shepherd Church community for a while, or even just a short bit, but have you become a member yet? Join us on Wednesday evening, March 8th at 6:30 p.m. to find out about church membership. In this class, you will learn all about our church, what we believe, and what church membership means. If you're ready to take this step, email podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know that you'd like to sign up, or check the box on the connection card.
We want to get to know you. Each month, we've got an opportunity. If you're new around here, you're invited to Pizza with the Pastors at Massey's Pizza in Gahanna. The next one happens Monday, March 20th. You can RSVP by emailing Pastor Rob at rpaul@shepnaz.org. We're looking forward to seeing you and your family there.
Well, Mike, thank you for sticking around. You didn't run you off yet, so that's a good sign. And it was awesome to hear about your personal story. Seriously, thank you for opening up and sharing about that. And it's great to see leaders like you who are leading this school, who love Christ, and they're doing amazing things. So with that being said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot about to change. So can you fill us in on some of the awesome things that are happening with the school?
I can. I'll keep it short. But if you don't mind, I'm going to take just me back a little bit. I didn't know the plan the Lord had for me. You know, when I retired from the military, I went into education because I knew that piece I wanted to do. Yeah. And I was called to Grove City Christian. I was actually their first principal. I wasn't the head of school, but I was their first principal. And that started me on a path to growing schools. I was the Grove City Christian when it was a Case 8 school, was there through their first graduating class. And then was called to New Hope Christian Academy, a K-5 school. They've now had their fourth graduating class. Wow. And so I knew when Pastor Rob reached out to me, and so we're a K-5 school, I'd like to grow it. Those as that door opened, I knew this is where I belonged. And as long as I've been obedient, I've tried to listen to the Lord, and I've seen great things happening at Shepherd. You know, we added 6th grade a couple years ago. The Lord's blessed us to go. When I came, now 5 years ago, it was 95 students. We topped out about 207 this year. Wow. And, it's they were lined up when I left the office a minute ago with registrations.
That's awesome.
It is. But that's a God thing.
Yeah.
That's not a Mike thing.
Yep.
And I truly believe that. Parents, for much of my journey, I was kind of happy to leave it at 6th grade, but a lot of the parents and others' input said, we got to go to middle school. And really, when you look at your solid Christian schools, they're a solid 8 or K through 8th grade, because that's a foundation. That's part of the reason I came back here. They say if you're not going to read, if you don't reach a child by the time they're about 12, the chances of reaching them are slim. Yeah. So that's our window. Now, saying that, about a year ago, we started talking and working through, okay, now what would it look like to go ahead and add 7th grade and 8th grade? And we have, as a team, devised a plan actually to roll the K in, the pre-K. Yep. So it's a pre-K through 8th grade. That way we get the foundation years of a child's development. And it's an exciting time. And so that's taken us on a journey of looking both in person and a lot of online and phone calls with some of the best Christian schools in the country. Wow. And we're even going to, in the weeks to come, actually go try to visit a couple of them. Cool. Again. Because if we're going to do this, let's do this right. Absolutely. One of the hallmarks of the new middle school we're adding here in 7th grade next year is we'll have that foundational liberal arts curriculum that most schools have. But the piece we're adding on is what we're calling is RAM sale as a selling into the future. SEL stands for Schools of Applied Innovation Learning. Cool. And what it is a block of 2 weeks, 4 times a year, where a student will, instead of just learning in the classroom, they'll take that core knowledge they've got and apply it to practical experience. Maybe it's a case of we'll come up with a scenario where Gahanna's wanting to add, or Franklin County's wanting to add windmills, or the air. Not windmills, but the wind power. Gotcha. Okay, so the students have to research it, and maybe they'll have to build it, a small version of it, and they'll actually apply some of the math and the materials they're learning in the classroom.
That's
Or
cool.
a venue that's dear to my heart is the Dream Center. Well, that's an outreach to low income, and so we would, and homeless. Well, we would have the students in that 2 week come up with planning a message, giving a message, planning a meal for 100 people, go shop. We'll give them a budget, and all the components for a night at the Dream, and then actually go serve it.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
prepare. So there's so much academic learning that you can build into that 2 weeks, or it could be some kind of coding project, but it's a real world project built on what they've learned in the classroom. And I think that innovation piece will resonate well with our families, and it'll help our students be ready for that next step. And the schools are to be the whole purpose of education is to ensure that the student is ready for the workforce.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
by adding the solid foundation of academics and on top of a very innovative curriculum, and put those two pieces together, our kids will be ready for the next generation.
That's awesome.
With a biblical worldview,
Yes.
as a foundation.
Which is even better, right?
Yes.
I know. For as somebody who's like, I was an ADD kid, I was not a good
Yes.
classroom kid. So the idea of having that hands-on learning is so cool to me to see that you guys are going to implement that. That's awesome. I know you guys recently have done some open houses.
Yes.
And I know for me that was it's kind of exciting and terrifying because we are going to have a kindergartner next year, and I don't know how that happened. I don't know when I woke up and had a kindergartner, but I know we're really excited and grateful for you and everything else that you got going on at the school.
Yeah, and I would, anybody that's listening that's got a little one, I would encourage them to come and take a tour and let us show you what we are doing. But I would encourage, if you've got anything past kindergarten, first grade, I've already started closing classes for next year.
Oh, wow.
So it's there's a total of about 12 openings past first grade.
Oh, goodness. So get in quick.
So that's sooner than later.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. Well, really cool to hear, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been awesome. That will do it for today's episode. If you heard something today that resonated with you, maybe when Mike shared his testimony or what he's talking about with the school, you realize that you need to take your step, reach out to us by emailing podcast@shepnaz.org. Get on your podcast platform and give us a 5-star rating, and share this with a friend to help spread the word. And make sure you check us out on social media and at shepnaz.org. For Mike and for Pastor Joey, I'm Pastor Zack. Have a great rest of the day.
This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.